I'm starting my journey. I'm driving down to Appomattox to go and get trained and certified in the state of Virginia for the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, or VDEM for short. I'm going to call it VDEM from here on out. To be able to go and do search and rescue, ground search and rescue. So here's my journal entry for day one, the drive down. There's basically three options for staying down there. They have a lodge that's got heated rooms and it's a bunk style housing. They have a cabin, and it has some kind of bunk type system for sleeping, and then you have the option to camp. There is a fourth option, which is get a hotel, but that's not on premise. You have to actually drive out to Appomattox or some other location that they gave, but that would not be covered by any means. But for the free options and the options to be with other people, there's the lodge, the cabins, or the camping options. So my group and I, looks like a majority of us are going to be doing the cabin. So a little winter night in the unheated cabin. They do have electricity, so we can be able to charge items like phones and whatnot, although there's no reception. We're not really going to be using our phones that much, at least I don't think so. But we chose the cabin, and I think that's going to be fun. You know, it's a little winter camping in a shelter. The temperature is not really supposed to get that cold this weekend, so I'm not really concerned, at least for this weekend. It's going to be 36 degrees at the low, and the high is going to be around 42, 45 for most of the weekend. And today it's like 60, so yeah, welcome to January. That's not what I normally am used to. Should be a little bit colder than this, but hey, I'll take it. Especially since I'm going to be outside the entire time, or at least majority of the time, or so I'm told. I really don't know. And that's really the whole thing. This is kind of the pre-education rundown. I really don't know what I'm going to be doing, and I won't know until I get there. So here's for my second entry on day one. We just had orientation and we set up our bunks. We got a nice little cabin here, and this is where we're sleeping and staying. This is a open air cabin. We got a heater here, but tonight we're probably not going to need it because it's pretty warm. We just had, like I said, orientation. It seemed pretty good, just an overview of what VDEM does and what their part is in the search and rescue community, and how we deploy and how everything works. And then we went over the schedules for the next, the rest of the weekend here and the following weekend, and just kind of setting the parameters of what to expect for the entire weekend. I did ask to see if we can film some of the exercises. I might be able to do it. They're going to check and make sure it's okay. If so, I get some action shots of what we're doing in the field. Great, right? But if not, then you're going to just get the recaps. Sorry. It's social hour. I just broke off for a few minutes just to do a recap. And tomorrow starts off pretty early. Breakfast at 7 a.m. So I'm going to get up a little bit earlier than that and make sure I'm ready for the day. So after that, you're going to get stuff for day 2. Good morning. Today is day 2 of VDEM training and certification for ground search and rescue. Today we're going to be covering a lot of different things. It looks like we're going to go over operations, tactics, communications. We got clue awareness, ropes and hardware, and we got some looks like some activities with flashlight management, litter tie-in, anchors, and scree slope. I'm not too sure what that is. But today's an action-packed day, and this is where I get probably most of my education, and tomorrow will be more education, and the following weekend will be more practical and evaluation. So that's the, sorry for the movement. So that's the plan for today, and it looks pretty good. It's a little cold out here. I'm actually going to head in just a moment and get some breakfast and be ready for the day. When it gets actually light out, I'll give you a little tour once I get familiar with the surroundings, because I haven't been able to really see much or do much other than find the dining hall, most important part, right? And we had a bonfire last night with everyone as the welcoming. So those are pretty much the only things I really know about the camp so far. So I'm going to do a quick little tour of what I've seen so far. This is the dining hall where we have all of our meals. These are all the little cabins, open air cabins. And the bathhouse. And here is the fire ring where we had our fire last night. Alright, just a little update. Obviously it's getting close to nighttime. I'm back in the bunk. This is actually dinner hour, so I'm just getting prepped up for a night operation. We're basically going over some climbing gear. We're going over webbing, ropes and wraps and knots and everything else. So it's going to be totally cool, right up my alley. I love it. This is like my bread and butter. This is what I love doing about search and rescue. But earlier today we went over SAR operations and tactics, like how to go and do search, like methods like line searches and 3-man teams, and we did an exercise on observation where we actually walked along a trail and see how many objects of a certain type and identify where they are and about how far away they are from the trail that we were having to walk. But we couldn't go and get off the trail to actually investigate it. We just had to see it, observe it, notarize it, and locate where it is on the map. So that was a really, really cool experiment. And we had, in our particular group, 4 people, 3 of us searching, 1 person recording, and the person recording could not make any observations on their own. They were just purely recording the data. So I thought it was really effective, and I think we got a really high percentage of searches found. That being said, we don't really know the percentages because we don't know how many objects there are. But if I were to have to put a number to it, I would say we found about maybe 80 to 90%. Now, it'll be interesting to see, because this was actually an experiment in trying to measure how precise or how good or effective a searcher could be, and especially with a number of people. because there are other groups that only search with 2 people, one person recording, one person observing, and then another one where people were, well, a 2-person group that was one person recording, one person searching, and the person recording could also search. So you basically had a series between 1, 2, and 3 people searching, and it was a hasty search, so it was very, very quick. Anyway, I went on and on about it, but that is a really cool exercise, and I think it was a good training mechanism as well as a good research project for the person doing the research on that, and we're just his test subjects. We also went over legal concerns and what to be aware of as a search and rescue person, and that's an eye-opener too, because there's concerns with I'm new to search and rescue, and we have what we call out qualified. Basically, it's someone that is not fully trained but can participate on searches. Well, Virginia does not recognize those persons as actually being qualified for anything. You have to be a search team member, which is what I'm actually working on right now. And from a legal standpoint, there's the same level of expectations for a call-out qualified as there are for a search team member, even though they haven't received all the training. And there's no allowances for things not being done correctly because they're not fully trained or they're beginner level. So that's something definitely to recognize, and I think it's interesting. Now, we do have a mentoring program in our organization, so those that are call-out qualified, they have to be there with a fully trained search team member or search team leader to be able to do that particular exercise. So that's interesting. Anyway, but tonight I'm excited about it. Obviously, you're not going to get the footage, and I figured that was a high probability that I would not be allowed to take footage. And it's not so much that I'm not allowed, but we should train how we're supposed to work. And in a real live search and rescue, I would not be bringing my GoPro. Alright, so just to conclude thoughts, so far this program has been really awesome. I'm learning quite a bit, although I've gotten a lot of this training in my own organization with Shenandoah Mountain Rescue Group. So in some ways this is also a recap, refresher, and rebuilding those connections to make sure that it's actually sticking in my head. So for that, this is a really good program. I'm going to be reinforcing stuff I should already know, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this would do for me in the field.
Alright, today is day 3 of the VDEM ground search and rescue training and certification. So let me kind of recap what happened last night with the exercise. We did a couple different things. We did anchors, so that was the wrap 3, pull 2, and we did the tree wrap and did it with without carabiner and with carabiner. Later on, if people are interested, I can actually demonstrate some of those wraps and anchors. In fact, I think I did do that in a previous video. I think it was my rappelling video. So look back on that if you want more information about those particular wraps. So we also did a demonstration on flashlights, and it was kind of a flashlights throughout the age, how flashlights came to be, and the progression of the different light bulbs and batteries and the technology over the years, which I thought was pretty interesting. We talked about night vision and how long it takes to acclimate. Usually it's about 25 minutes to get used to the dark. So if someone flashes their headlamp right into your eyes, you can be blind in the dark for another 25 minutes to get your night vision back. So that's very important for night operations, and what to look for in a flashlight. We also did intro to patient packaging. So we looking at the litters and how to wrap a patient into a litter. And for those who don't know what a litter is, it's not just debris you find on the ground. It's actually it's a device to carry someone out in case of emergency. So basically, it's a basket that the person goes in, and then we take webbing or some of them have harnesses actually built in, but we use webbing, and you tie the person in. So we did the wrapping portion because you want to have a thermal layer and a waterproof layer to keep the patient dry and warm, since especially during winter, but even during the summer you want to keep them dry in case there's some kind of inclement weather. We did the scree station, and I found out what scree actually means. It's actually a technical term for loose gravel underfoot. Now, they were using it in the context of slippery surface, and we were using a prusik knot on a rope to be able to go and descend and ascend safely and use as a safety line. Not that we really need it on the degree angle, and in fact I kind of did it in my video on rappelling. It wasn't you're not in any risk of falling down at that angle, but in case, since you're going to be carrying a patient, or we operate with not trying to get injured along the way, that's where that came in. So we did that. That was last night, and I didn't get a chance to do a video recap of it. So there you go. That's my video recap of last night. But today we did land navigation. We did a minor exercise of finding out your pace count. So they had markers, and you would walk the pace and measure how many foot lengths it would take to get to a certain known distance, and that's your pace count. And using that in a compass and taking a magnetic bearing, you would measure where you're going to be going and how far you should walk, and you should be in an approximate area of some flagging tape with the next point. So we had a mini navigation exercise, and that's good practice. I mean, that's just basic compass work. And we also went over topographical maps and the features on it, and what a lake or trails or roads and secondary and primary highways. We went over buildings and land terrains like contour lines. You have the markers, you have your ridges, your hilltops, your spurs, your draws and valleys, and all of those land features, and how to read a topographical map. So that's where we left off. Right now we're about to go to lunch, and we're about to wrap up for today. I think we're gonna leave just after sunset is when we're gonna actually pack up and leave.
This is a final segment for the first weekend of ground search and rescue certification and training for VDEM. So we just finished going over equipment, and we went over map orienteering and other tidbits on navigation and map use, and how to use your compass to orient the map, and all sorts of fun stuff. That being said, it is time to go home, which at this point I am pretty tired, and I'm ready to get home, get some sleep in my actual bed, and call it a weekend. But man, what a weekend this was. Going and meeting all the different people from all across the state of Virginia, and you know, seeing the different groups, seeing people at different levels, you know, everyone from the very top tier, best in the state in terms of training. And apparently Virginia has probably one of the best search and rescue groups in the country. One of the guys was saying it is ranked somewhere between 1 and 3 in the nation for its program. The other 2 states is New Mexico and Washington State. Any case, I think this is just a terrific program. I'm learning some stuff, reinforcing existing knowledge, and seeing and networking, and getting to know the people that I'm going to be working with when I go on search and rescue missions, because I'm not always searching just within my group and just within my local area. I travel all across the state of Virginia, and some of these people are going to be my fellow teammates, and I'm going to be working with them in the future. So 2 weekends from now, we're going to be having more hands-on approach to things. We're going to have about as much time as we've had in the classroom, which was about, I'd say, 75 to 80% of our time has been classroom. But 2 weeks from now, it's going to be about 75 to 80% hands-on and going beyond what is required of me will help me be that much better of a leader. Getting back to my preparation, they've assigned us a little bit of homework. We will need to have our search and rescue packs. So I already have my pack pretty much ready. I am going to reevaluate some of my gear and look and see what do I want to take, what do I not want to take, what is absolutely necessary, what is not necessary, and see if I can just get all the essentials without any of the extra stuff and pare it down to what I absolutely need. That being said, there's always going to be tons of gear, and my pack is probably going to be just about as heavy because I've already done that a couple times and my pack's not that much lighter. I might reevaluate like how I want to actually set up my gear, and maybe have things like dry packs or like dry bags and put all my gear in that. So if I want to take certain gear in and take certain gear out, I can do an easy deployment of that type of gear. So other preparations as I get ready for the next stage in my training and certification. I'm planning on going and doing some more navigation training. One of my teammates from my organization recommended to go to Hemlock Overlook, and this is a park I'm actually very familiar with. One of the things I was not familiar with is the fact that they have an orienteering course that you can do. It's a self-guided course, and you can download the actual points or the map essentially to get started, and you can do the entire course through the park. And it's a sequence of finding markers and finding locations and using your map and using the terrain and using your skills and practicing them to be able to keep those perishable skills, because maps and compass are incredibly perishable. If you're not doing all the time and you're not accustomed to it, you're going to forget it. I know with knots, I tend to have a muscle memory, and I just have to know what knot I'm tying, and I just tie it in an instant. Knots come easy, but doing navigation with maps and compass, while in concept I definitely get it and I can read a map, going and looking at the terrain and being on there and getting your feet on the ground and practicing it is a little bit harder. It's easier to say, oh yeah, look at this point, and then, oh, look at that point, and let's see, that's going to be this sort of bearing. That's the easy part. The hard part is when you're actually there, not using any GPS, it's not using any of